I never thought a plastic tube and a cotton swab would be the thing that ended my life as I knew it. It was November, cold enough that the morning felt like it had edges. I was 32, living in a brownstone in Brooklyn that I could barely afford, working as a graphic designer for a startup that sold overpriced wellness products to people who didn't need them. My life was fine, unremarkable, the kind of fine where you wake up and wonder if this is it, if this quiet hum of existence is what everyone means when they talk about being an adult. My best friend Simone had done one of those DNA tests 6 months earlier. She'd posted the results on Instagram, 42% Nigerian, 18% Ghanaian, traces of Cameroon and Benoit. She'd made it seem fun, revelatory. Like suddenly, she understood herself better because a lab in California had told her which parts of West Africa her ancestors came from. "You should do it," she'd said one night over wine at her place in Fort Greene. "It's wild, Nia. You see your whole history laid out like a map." I'd rolled my eyes. I know my history. My mom's from Georgia. My dad's people are from South Carolina. We're Black. That's the history. "But don't you want to know more?" I didn't, really, but she kept bringing it up. And then for my birthday in October, she gave me the kit. Wrapped in purple paper with a bow that was too elaborate for what was essentially a medical specimen container. "Just do it," she said. For me. So I did. Not because I cared, but because it was easier than explaining why I didn't. I spit into the tube on a Tuesday morning before work, registered it online, sent it off in the prepaid envelope, then I forgot about it. The email came on a Thursday in late November. Subject line: "Your ancestry DNA results are ready." I was at my desk, halfway through a design revision for a campaign about mushroom coffee. My phone buzzed. I opened the email without thinking, clicked the link, entered my password. The page loaded slowly, building suspense like I was supposed to care. Then the results appeared. 61% West African, 23% European, 8% Native American, 8% unassigned. I skimmed it. Nothing shocking. This was America. We're all mixed with something, but then I scrolled down to a section I hadn't expected. DNA relatives. A list of people who'd taken the test and shared genetic markers with me. Distant cousins mostly. 3rd, 4th, 5th connections. People I'd never meet, never think about. But at the top of the list was a name. Close family, parent, child, Marcus Whelan. 50% shared DNA. I stared at the screen. Marcus Whelan, not Marcus Hayes. My father's name was Marcus Hayes. I'd known that my entire life. It was on my birth certificate. On the emergency contact forms I filled out in elementary school. On the card he signed every birthday. I read the name again. Marcus Whelan. There was a small profile photo next to it. A man, maybe in his 60s, smiling in what looked like a backyard. White, graying hair, glasses. I refreshed the page. The name stayed. I closed my laptop, opened it again, checked my email to make sure this wasn't some phishing scam, some elaborate hoax, but it was real. The email was from the official Ancestry DNA domain. The account was mine. I sat there for 20 minutes staring at that name, Marcus Whelan. Then I called my mother. She didn't answer. I called again. Voicemail. I texted, "Call me when you get this." Then I grabbed my coat and left the office early. Told my manager I wasn't feeling well, which wasn't a lie. I felt like I was separating from my body, like I was watching myself move through the world from a few feet behind. The subway ride to my mom's place in Harlem took 40 minutes. I didn't look at my phone, didn't listen to music, just sat there with my hands folded in my lap, trying to hold myself together. My mother lived in the same rent-controlled apartment she'd raised me in. 4th floor walk-up on 135th Street. The hallway always smelled like someone's grandmother's cooking. Collard greens, fried fish, something simmering low and slow. I knocked. She opened the door, wearing the same thing she always wore when she wasn't at work. A loose cotton dress, her reading glasses on a chain around her neck, her hair wrapped in a silk scarf. "Naya." She looked surprised. "You didn't tell me you were coming?" I called. "Oh, you didn't answer." "I was at the store." She stepped aside to let me in. "You okay? You look pale." I walked past her into the living room. Same brown couch, same family photos on the wall. Same framed picture of my father on the mantle, the one from his 40th birthday, a few months before he died. Marcus Hayes, not Whelan. Hayes, "I need to ask you something," I said. She closed the door, studying me. "What's wrong?" "I did one of those DNA tests." Her face didn't change, not at first, but I saw it, the way her jaw tightened, the way her hand went still on the doorknob. "Why would you do that?" she asked. "Simone gave it to me for my birthday." You didn't need to do that, Naya. I already did it, Mom, and I got the results today. She moved into the kitchen, slow and deliberate, filled a glass of water from the tap, drank it, set the glass down, and, she said finally, and there's a man listed as my father, close family, parent-child match, but his name isn't Marcus Hayes. It's Marcus Whelan. The silence was so thick I could feel it pressing against my chest. She didn't look at me. Mom, I heard you. Is Dad not my father? She exhaled through her nose, long and slow. Then she sat down at the kitchen table, her hands folded in front of her like she was about to pray. Your father is Marcus Hayes, she said quietly. He raised you. He loved you. That's what matters. That's not what I asked. She looked up at me, and for the first time in my life, I saw something in her eyes I'd never seen before. Fear. Sit down, Naya. I don't want to sit down. I want you to tell me the truth. Sit down. I sat. She was quiet for a long time. I could hear the radiator hissing in the corner, a car alarm going off somewhere outside, the neighbor's TV through the wall. Finally, she spoke. Marcus Whelan is your biological father, she said, but Marcus Hayes was your real father. Do you understand the difference? I didn't say anything. I need you to understand the difference, she repeated, her voice harder now. How? I asked. How did this happen? She closed her eyes. It's a long story. I have time. She shook her head. You don't want to know this, Nia. Trust me. I already know it. I saw the test. I saw his name. So you can either tell me or I can reach out to him and ask him myself. Her eyes snapped open. Don't you dare. Then tell me. She stared at me for a moment. Then she stood, walked to the cabinet above the fridge, and pulled down a box I'd never seen before. Cardboard, old, taped shut. She set it on the table between us. If I tell you this, she said, it's going to change how you see me, how you see your father, how you see everything. Are you sure you want that? Yes. She didn't open the box. Not yet. She just kept her hand on it like she was holding something dangerous. Marcus Whelan, she said slowly, was my best friend's husband. I stared at her. Her name was Lauren. We met in college. Spelman. She was my roommate freshman year. We were close. Closer than I've ever been with anyone except you. She paused, took a breath. After we graduated, she married Marcus. They moved to Atlanta. I stayed in New York, but we stayed in touch, called each other every week, visited when we could. She was like a sister to me. I felt something cold settling in my stomach. And then one summer, she invited me to stay with them for a month. I'd just quit my job. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. She said I could use the break, clear my head. So I went. She opened the box. Inside were letters, dozens of them, yellowed with age. Marcus was kind, she said. Funny. He made me feel like I wasn't a mess, like I was just someone going through a hard time, not someone falling apart. She pulled out a photograph, a younger version of her, a younger version of the man I'd seen online, smiling, standing close. I didn't mean for it to happen, she said. I swear to God, Nia. I didn't mean for it to happen. You slept with him. I did. While you were staying with them. While she was your best friend. Yes. I felt like I was going to be sick. And she found out? I asked. My mother shook her head. No, she never knew. Not then. Then how? I left before she could figure it out. Came back to New York. Didn't talk to her for months. And then I found out I was pregnant. With me. With you. She folded her hands again, staring down at the photo. I didn't tell her. I didn't tell him. I met Marcus Hayes a few months later. We started dating. He knew I was pregnant. I told him the father wasn't in the picture. He didn't ask questions. He just said he'd be there. And he was. Did he know that I wasn't his? Not at first, but eventually, yes. I told him when you were 2. And he stayed. He stayed. Because he loved you. Because you were his daughter in every way that mattered. I couldn't breathe. The room felt too small. Too hot. Does Marcus Whelan know? I asked as she hesitated. Mom, does he know? He does now. What does that mean? She looked at me and I saw the fear again, but this time there was something else underneath it. Guilt, deep, corrosive guilt. Lauren died 3 years ago, she said. Cancer. And after she died, I wrote to Marcus. I told him the truth. I told him about you. Why would you do that? because I thought he deserved to know, because I thought... She stopped. I don't know what I thought. I wasn't thinking clearly. And what did he say? He didn't respond. Not for a year. And then, out of nowhere, he sent me a letter. Said he wanted to meet you. Said he'd taken one of those DNA tests hoping you might do the same someday. That maybe you'd find him. I stood up so fast the chair fell backward. You knew. You knew he was looking for me, and you didn't tell me. I didn't think you'd ever take the test. That's not the point. Naya, please. You lied to me. For 32 years, you lied to me. I protected you. From what? From knowing the truth? From carrying a burden that wasn't yours to carry? Her voice cracked. She was crying now, tears running down her face, and I realized I'd never seen her cry before, not once, not even at my father's funeral. Do you have any idea what this did to me? She said, her voice breaking. Do you know what it's like to lose your best friend because of something you can never take back? To know that every time you look at your daughter, you see the worst thing you've ever done? I didn't answer. I love Lauren, she said, and I destroyed her. Even if she never knew, I destroyed her, and I've had to live with that every single day since you were born. I grabbed my coat. Where are you going? She asked. I don't know. Anywhere but here. Naya, wait. I didn't wait. I walked out, down the 4 flights of stairs, out into the cold November air, and I didn't look back. I didn't go home. I walked for hours, down Lenox Avenue, through Central Park, all the way to the Upper West Side. My phone kept buzzing. My mother, Simone. I ignored all of it. By the time I stopped walking, it was dark, and I was standing outside a bar on Amsterdam Avenue, the kind of place with dim lighting and no music, the kind of place where people go to disappear for a while. I went inside, ordered a whiskey, drank it too fast, ordered another. The bartender didn't ask if I was okay. I appreciated that. I pulled out my phone, opened the Ancestry DNA app, looked at Marcus Whelan's profile again. There was a button next to his name, send message. I stared at it for a long time. Then I clicked it. The message box opened, cursor blinking. I typed, hi, I think you're my father. I stared at the words, deleted them, typed, my name is Nia Hayes. I got your name from a DNA test. I'd like to talk. I read it 3 times. Then I hit send. I finished my drink, paid, left. By the time I got home, it was after midnight. There was already a response waiting. Marcus Whelan's message was short. I've been hoping you'd reach out. Can we meet? I read it 5 times. Then I wrote back. Yes. We agreed to meet the following Saturday. Neutral ground, a coffee shop in Midtown, public, safe. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell anyone except Simone, and only because she showed up at my apartment the next day after I ignored her calls. Your mom called me, she said, pushing past me into the living room. She's worried about you. She should be worried about herself. Simone sat down on my couch, crossing her arms. You want to talk about it? I told her everything. The test, the name, my mother's confession, the affair, the lies, all of it. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she let out a long breath. Damn, she said. Yeah. So what are you going to do? I'm meeting him. Saturday. Do you think that's a good idea? I don't know, but I have to. She nodded slowly. You want me to come with you? No, I need to do this alone. Okay, but call me after. Promise. I promise. She hugged me before she left, tight, like she was trying to hold me together. Whatever happens, she said, you're still you. This doesn't change that. But it did. It already had. Saturday came too fast. I barely slept the night before, kept running through scenarios in my head. What I'd say, what he'd look like in person. Whether I'd feel anything when I saw him. I got to the coffee shop 15 minutes early. Ordered a tea I didn't drink. Sat at a table by the window where I could see people coming in. And then, at exactly 2 o'clock, he walked in. I recognized him immediately. Older than his profile picture, but the same face. Tall, glasses, graying hair. He was wearing a navy sweater and jeans, and he looked nervous. He saw me. I could tell by the way he stopped just inside the door, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. He walked over slowly. Naya, he said. Yeah. Hi. Hi. He stood there for a moment, like he wasn't sure if he should sit down or shake my hand or hug me. He did none of those things. He just sat down across from me. Thank you for meeting me, he said. I wasn't sure I would. I understand. He paused. This is a lot. We sat in silence for a moment. I studied his face, tried to see myself in it, the shape of his eyes maybe, the line of his jaw. I don't know what to say, I admitted finally. Me neither. He took off his glasses, cleaned them with the edge of his sweater, put them back on. Your mother wrote to me, he said. 3 years ago, after Lauren died, she told me about you. I know, she told me. I didn't respond at first. I was angry, not at you, at her, at the situation, at myself really, for not realizing. Did Lauren ever know? He shook his head. No, at least I don't think so. She never said anything, and your mother left so suddenly that summer. Lauren thought it was just because she'd found a job. I didn't think anything of it either until your mother's letter. What did the letter say? He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out an envelope, worn, folded. He set it on the table between us. You can read it if you want, he said. I picked it up, unfolded the letter inside. My mother's handwriting. Dear Marcus, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if I deserve for you to read this, but I need to tell you something I should have told you 32 years ago. The summer I stayed with you and Lauren, something happened between us. I've spent every day since then trying to convince myself it didn't matter, that it was a mistake I could bury. But it mattered, because 9 months later, I had a daughter. Her name is Naya. She's your daughter. I didn't tell you because I couldn't. I didn't tell Lauren because it would have destroyed her. So I ran. I met someone else. I built a life. I tried to forget, but I can't forget. Not anymore. Lauren's gone, and I think you deserve to know the truth. I'm not asking for anything. I'm not asking you to be in Nia's life. I just thought you should know she exists. I'm sorry for everything. Regina, I folded the letter back up, set it down. She never told me she wrote this, I said. I didn't know if she had. I wasn't sure if you even knew about me. I didn't, not until a week ago. He nodded, looked down at his hands. I loved Lauren, he said quietly. She was my whole world, and when I found out, when I read that letter, I felt like I'd lost her all over again, like the entire marriage was a lie. Was it? No, I don't think so. But it's hard to know what's real when something like this comes out. Did you ever cheat on her? He looked up at me, surprised by the question. No, never. Then it wasn't a lie. You didn't do anything wrong. I don't know if that makes it easier. We were quiet again. Why did you take the DNA test? I asked. Because your mother mentioned in the letter that you didn't know, and I thought, I don't know what I thought, that maybe someday you'd take one too. That maybe you'd find me. I know it was a long shot, but I didn't know how else to reach you without disrupting your life. Well, I said, you found me. I did. I looked at him, really looked at him. This stranger who was my father, who I'd never met, who'd been waiting for me without me even knowing. What do you want from me? I asked. Nothing, he said. I don't want anything from you, Nia. I just wanted to meet you, to know you're okay, to tell you that I didn't know, that if I had, I would have... He stopped. I don't know what I would have done, but I would have wanted to be there. I had a father, I said. Marcus Hayes. He raised me. He was there. I know. Your mother told me, and I'm grateful for that. He died when I was 25. I'm sorry. Cancer. Same as Lauren. He flinched at her name. I'm not trying to replace him, he said. I just wanted you to know that you exist in my life now, that you're not a secret anymore. At least not to me. I didn't know what to say to that. Do you have other kids? I asked. No. Lauren and I tried for years. It didn't happen. She used to say maybe it wasn't meant to be. He smiled sadly. And now I find out I had a daughter the whole time. Did you tell anyone about me? No, not yet. I wanted to meet you first. Make sure this was real. Make sure you wanted this. I don't know what I want. I said honestly, that's fair. We sat there for a while longer. The coffee shop filled up around us. People ordering lattes, meeting friends, working on laptops, normal Saturday afternoon things. Can I ask you something? He said finally. Sure. What was he like? Marcus Hayes. I thought about it, about my dad, about the man who taught me to ride a bike, who came to every school play, who stayed up with me when I had nightmares, who never once made me feel like I wasn't his. He was kind, I said. Patient. He worked too much, But he always made time for me. He used to take me to the park on Sundays. We'd get ice cream and sit by the pond and just talk. About nothing, about everything. Marcus Whelan smiled. He sounds like a good man. He was. Then I'm glad you had him. I didn't expect to feel emotional, but I did. Tears stung my eyes and I blinked them back. I should go, I said, standing up. Okay. He stood too. Can we do this again? Sometime? I hesitated. You don't have to answer now, he said quickly. Just think about it. I will. He pulled a business card from his wallet and handed it to me. Marcus Whelan, architect, and address in Connecticut. That's my number, he said. If you want to talk, or meet, or anything, no pressure. I took the card, put it in my pocket. Thank you for coming, he said. Yeah, you too. I walked out before he could say anything else. I called Simone from the subway. How did it go? She asked. I don't know. He seems nice. That's good, right? I guess. Do you feel different? No. Yes, I don't know. She was quiet for a moment. You want to come over? We can order food and not talk about it. Yeah. Okay. I spent the rest of the weekend at her place. We watched bad movies and ate Thai food and didn't talk about Marcus Whelan or my mother or any of it. But on Monday morning, I called my mom. She answered on the first ring. Naya? I met him, I said. Silence. I met Marcus Whelan on Saturday. How did it go? Fine, he's nice. He said he loved Lauren, that he didn't know about me. He didn't, I swear. I know, I believe you. She exhaled shaky. Are you okay? I don't know yet. I'm sorry, Naya. I'm so sorry. I know. Can I see you? Can we talk? Not yet. I need time. Okay, I understand. But Mom? Yeah? You need to tell me the rest of it. The rest of what? Whatever you're not telling me, because I know there's more. Another long silence. Okay, she said finally. When you're ready. I'll let you know. I hung up. I didn't see Marcus Whelan again for 3 weeks, but he texted me. Short messages, nothing intrusive, just checking in. Hope you're doing well. Thinking of you. No pressure. Just wanted to say hi. I didn't always respond, but I read every message. And then one night in early December, I texted him back. Can we meet again? I have questions. He responded immediately. Of course. When? We met at the same coffee shop. Same table. This time, I got there first. When he arrived, he looked relieved to see me. I wasn't sure you'd show up, he said, sitting down. I almost didn't. What changed your mind? I need to know more about that summer, about what happened. He nodded slowly. What do you want to know? Everything. I want to know how it happened, why it happened. I want to know what my mother was like back then. I want to know what Lauren was like. I want to know who you were. That's a lot. I know, but I need to understand. He took off his glasses again. A nervous habit, I was starting to realize. Lauren and I got married young, he said. Right out of college. We were in love, or at least I thought we were. Looking back, I think we were just two people who didn't want to be alone. Were you happy? Most of the time, but there were cracks. Small things. She wanted kids right away. I wanted to wait. She wanted to move back to Georgia. I wanted to stay in New York. We compromised on Atlanta, but I think she resented me for it. And my mother? Regina was... He paused, searching for the right word. She was light. That's the only way I can describe it. She had this energy that made you feel like everything was going to be okay. Lauren adored her. They were so close. Sometimes I felt like an outsider in my own marriage because of how tight they were. So why did you sleep with her? He flinched. I don't have a good answer for that. I could say I was lonely, that Lauren and I were going through a rough patch, that Regina was there and she understood me in a way Lauren didn't, but none of that is an excuse. What happened that night? It was late. Lauren had gone to bed early. She wasn't feeling well. Regina and I stayed up talking. We'd been drinking, not a lot, but enough, and then he stopped. It just happened. 1 minute we were talking, and the next we were kissing, and then we were in the guest room, and I didn't stop it. I should have, but I didn't. Did it happen more than once? Twice. The first time, and then again a few days later. After that, Regina left. Said she'd gotten a job offer in New York and had to go. Lauren was devastated. She thought Regina was abandoning her. I didn't tell her the truth. I couldn't. Did you ever try to contact my mother after she left? No. I think we both knew it was over. That we'd destroyed something we could never get back. And Lauren never found out? Not that I know of. She asked about Regina a few times over the years. Wondered why they'd drifted apart. I told her people change, that sometimes friendships don't last. I don't think she believed me, but she stopped asking eventually. When did she die? 4 years ago. Ovarian cancer. It was fast. 6 months from diagnosis to... He couldn't finish the sentence. I'm sorry. Thank you. We sat in silence for a moment. Can I ask you something now? He said. Sure. What do you want from this? From me? I'd been asking myself the same question for weeks. I don't know, I said. I don't need a father. I had one. But I think I need to understand where I came from. And I can't do that without knowing you. So what does that look like? I don't know yet. Maybe we just keep meeting like this. Maybe we get to know each other. Maybe it goes nowhere. I can't promise anything. I'm not asking you to. Good, he smiled. Small, tentative. For what it's worth, he said, I'm glad you reached out. I know this is complicated. I know I have no right to be in your life, but I'm grateful for the chance. Don't make this bigger than it is, I said. We're just two people having coffee. Right, just coffee. But we both knew it was more than that. Over the next few months, Marcus and I met regularly, once every 2 weeks, then once a week. Always at the same coffee shop, always for an hour, maybe 2. We didn't talk about the past every time. Mostly we just talked about work, about life, about nothing in particular. I learned that he was an architect, that he designed public libraries and community centers, that he'd won awards for his work, though he was modest about it. He learned that I was a designer, that I hated my job but didn't know what else to do, that I liked old movies and jazz music and cooking elaborate meals I'd never finish. We were careful with each other, polite. Neither of us wanted to push too hard, but slowly something shifted. I started to see pieces of myself in him, the way he tilted his head when he was thinking, the way he used his hands when he talked, small things, genetic echoes. And I started to wonder what my life would have been like if I'd known him from the beginning. If my mother had made different choices. If Marcus Hayes hadn't stepped in, but I didn't let myself dwell on it. What ifs were dangerous. In February, Marcus invited me to his house in Connecticut. No pressure, he said. But I thought you might want to see where I live, where I grew up, sort of. I moved here after Lauren died. Needed a fresh start. I hesitated. It's just a house, he added, nothing formal. We can order pizza. You can leave whenever you want. Okay, I said, I'll come. The following Saturday, I took the train to Stamford. He picked me up at the station in an old Volvo that looked like it had been through a few winters. The drive to his house took 20 minutes. Tree-lined streets. Old colonials with front porches. The kind of neighborhood where people knew their neighbors and left their doors unlocked. His house was small. A cottage, really. Blue shutters, a garden that looked like it had been neglected but was trying to come back to life. This is it, he said, pulling into the driveway. Not much, but it's mine. Inside, the house was warm. Wood floors, bookshelves lining every wall, a fireplace that looked like it actually got used. It's nice, I said. Thanks. I've been fixing it up. Slowly. He gave me a tour. The living room, the kitchen, the office where he worked. Upstairs there were 2 bedrooms. One was his. The other was empty except for a desk and a chair. I use it as a guest room, he said. Or I will, once I get around to buying a bed. We went back downstairs. He ordered pizza. We ate in the living room, sitting on opposite ends of the couch. Can I show you something? He asked after we finished. Sure. He got up and went to a closet, pulled out a box, brought it back to the couch. These are photos, he said, of Lauren, of that summer. I thought you might want to see them. I opened the box. Inside were dozens of photos. Lauren and Marcus, young and smiling. Lauren and my mother, arms around each other, laughing at something off camera. I picked up one of the photos. My mother looked so different. Younger, obviously, but also lighter, like Marcus had said. She was wearing a yellow sundress, her hair natural and big. She looked happy. She was beautiful, I said. She was, Marcus agreed. They both were. I kept flipping through the photos. Lauren at the beach. Lauren and my mother on a porch somewhere, holding glasses of wine. Marcus and Lauren on their wedding day, both of them so young it almost hurt to look at. And then I found one that stopped me. It was my mother, alone, sitting on the edge of a pool, her feet in the water. She was looking at the camera, but her expression was hard to read. Not quite smiling, not quite sad, just present. When was this taken? I asked. Marcus leaned over to look. That summer, July, I think, a few days before she left. I stared at the photo. Can I keep this? I asked. Of course. I slipped it into my bag. We spent the rest of the afternoon going through the box. Marcus told me stories about Lauren, about their life together, about the trips they took, the fights they had, the small, mundane details that make up a marriage. He didn't talk much about my mother. I got the sense it was still too painful. By the time I left, it was dark. Thank you for coming, he said, walking me to the door. It means a lot. Thanks for having me. We should do this again, if you want. Yeah, I'd like that. He drove me back to the station. We didn't talk much on the way, but it was a comfortable silence. When I got home, I pulled out the photo of my mother, looked at it under the lamp in my living room. I wanted to call her, to ask her what she was thinking in that moment, to ask her if she regretted it, any of it. But I didn't. Instead, I put the photo on my bookshelf and went to bed. In March, my mother called me. I need to see you, she said. There's something I have to tell you. What is it? Not over the phone. Can you come over? When? Tomorrow, please. I went. When I got to her apartment, she looked older than I remembered, thinner, like the weight of the last few months had been eating away at her. Sit down, she said. I sat. She paced for a moment, wringing her hands. Then she stopped and looked at me. I lied to you, she said. About what? About Lauren. About whether she knew. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? She knew, my mother said. She found out. The day before I left. How? She saw us. Marcus and me. We were in the kitchen. We thought she was asleep, but she came downstairs and she saw us kissing. And she didn't say anything. She just stood there for a moment and then she turned around and went back upstairs. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She made breakfast. We all ate together, and then I left. I told myself she didn't see, that maybe I imagined it, but I knew she knew. Did she ever confront you? No, she never called, never wrote. I tried reaching out a few times over the years, but she never responded. And then I heard she died, and I realized I'd never get the chance to apologize. Does Marcus know? I don't know. I never told him. I didn't want him to carry that guilt. I stood up, pacing now. Why are you telling me this now? Because you deserve to know the whole truth, and because I can't keep carrying this alone. You should have told me from the beginning. I know, but I was scared. I thought if you knew, you'd hate me. I don't hate you, Mom, but I don't know how to look at you right now. She started crying. I'm sorry, Nia. I'm so sorry. I didn't comfort her. I just stood there, watching her fall apart. I need to go, I said finally. Naya, please. I'll call you. I left. I didn't call her. I didn't call Marcus either. I just went back to my apartment and sat in the dark, trying to process what I'd just learned. Lauren knew. She'd known the whole time. And she'd never said anything. Never confronted my mother. Never told Marcus. She'd just carried it. Alone. Until she died. I thought about the photos. About the way Lauren smiled in them. About the way she looked at my mother. Had she loved her, even after? Or had she just been too hurt to say anything? I didn't know. I'd never know. But I knew one thing. I needed to tell Marcus. I called him the next morning. Can we meet? I asked. Of course. When? Today. Now. I'll be there in an hour. We met at the coffee shop. He looked worried when he saw me. What's wrong? He asked. I talked to my mother yesterday. She told me something. What? Lauren knew. About you and her. She saw you together the night before my mother left. The color drained from his face. She saw us? Yeah. And she never said anything? No. He sat down heavily, like his legs had given out. My God, he said. All those years, she knew. I'm sorry. He shook his head. Don't be. This isn't your fault. I know, but I thought you should know. He was quiet for a long time. Then he looked up at me, his eyes red. I need to ask you something, he said. Okay. Do you think she hated me for what I did? I thought about it. About the photos. About everything Marcus had told me about their life together. No, I said. I don't think she hated you. I think she loved you, and I think that's why she didn't say anything. That doesn't make it better. I know. We sat there for a while. Neither of us said anything. Finally, he stood up. I need to go, he said. I'm sorry, I need to process this. I understand. He left without saying goodbye. I didn't hear from Marcus for 2 weeks. I texted him once. Are you okay? No response. I tried calling. Voicemail. I started to worry that I'd pushed too hard, that I'd told him something he wasn't ready to hear, but then in late March, he texted me back. I'm okay. I'm sorry I disappeared. Can we talk? We met at his house this time. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. I'm sorry, he said as soon as I walked in. I shouldn't have shut you out. It's okay. No, it's not. You didn't deserve that. We sat down in the living room. I've been thinking a lot, he said. About Lauren, about your mother, about all of it. And I realized something. I can't change what happened. I can't undo the hurt I caused, but I can choose what I do now. And I want to know you, Nia. I want to be in your life, if you'll let me. I looked at him. This man who was my father, who I barely knew, who had been carrying the weight of this secret for years, just like my mother. I want that too. I said, Yeah? Yeah. He smiled, a real smile this time. Thank you, he said. For what? For giving me a chance. Spring turned into summer. Marcus and I kept meeting, kept talking. The conversations got easier, less heavy. I started going to his house more often, helping him fix up the garden, cooking dinner together, small, ordinary things. And slowly, without either of us saying it out loud, he became part of my life. Not a replacement for Marcus Hayes, never that. But something new, something I hadn't known I needed. In June, I invited him to meet Simone. Are you sure? He asked. Yeah, I want her to meet you. We met at a restaurant in Brooklyn. Simone was skeptical at first. I could see it in the way she sized him up. But by the end of the night, she was laughing at his jokes, and I could tell she approved. He's nice, she said later when we were alone. I like him. Yeah, me too. How's your mom taking it? You spending time with him? I hadn't told my mother. I still wasn't ready. I don't know, I said. I haven't talked to her about it. You should. Eventually? I know, but I didn't. Not yet. In July, Marcus asked me to go on a trip with him. I'm driving down to Georgia, he said, to visit Lauren's grave. I go every year, and I thought, if you want, you could come with me. I hesitated. You don't have to, he added quickly. I just thought it might be good, for both of us. Okay, I said. I'll come. We left on a Saturday morning, drove down through New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Virginia, stopped at roadside diners and gas stations, listened to music, talked about nothing important. It felt normal, easy. We arrived in Georgia late Sunday afternoon. Lauren was buried in a small cemetery outside Atlanta. Rows of headstones under oak trees. Marcus led me to her grave, a simple marker. Lauren Whelan, beloved wife. He knelt down, placed flowers on the grave. I stood back, giving him space. After a few minutes, he stood up and looked at me. Do you want to say anything? He asked. I don't know what to say. I never met her. That's okay. You don't have to. But I stepped forward anyway, stood in front of the headstone. Hi, Lauren, I said quietly. I'm Naya. I'm Marcus's daughter, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry you had to carry that alone. I wish I could have known you. I didn't know if I believed in an afterlife, if she could hear me, but it felt right to say it anyway. Marcus and I stood there for a while longer, then we left. On the drive back, he was quiet, but not in a bad way, just thoughtful. Thank you for coming, he said finally. Of course. I think Lauren would have liked you. You think? Yeah. You're a lot like her, actually. Stubborn, smart, kind when you don't have to be. I didn't know what to say to that, so I just looked out the window and let the miles pass. When we got back to New York, I finally called my mother. Can I come over? I asked. Of course. I went to her apartment that night. She looked surprised to see me. I've been spending time with Marcus Whelan, I said as soon as I walked in. She didn't say anything. We've been meeting, getting to know each other, and I went with him to visit Lauren's grave. Naya, I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just telling you. She nodded slowly. Okay. I'm not doing this to hurt you, but I need to know him. And I need you to be okay with that. I am. I mean, it's hard, but I understand. Good. We stood there for a moment, the air thick between us. I'm still angry at you, I said, for lying, for keeping this from me. I know, but I don't want to lose you. You're still my mom. Her eyes filled with tears. I don't want to lose you either. Then we have to figure this out. All of it, together. Okay. I hugged her. For the first time in months, she held on tight, like she was afraid to let go. I'm sorry, she whispered. I know. The rest of the summer passed quietly. I saw Marcus regularly, saw my mother less often, but we were trying. Simone kept checking in, making sure I was okay, making sure I wasn't drowning in all of it. You're handling this better than I would, she said one night over wine. I don't know if I'm handling it, I'm just surviving it. That's the same thing. Maybe it was. In August, Marcus told me he wanted to throw a dinner party. Just small, he said. You, me, a few of my friends. I want them to meet you. Why? Because you're my daughter, and I want people to know that. I agreed. The dinner was at his house. 6 people total. Colleagues from work, a neighbor. Everyone was warm, kind. They asked about my life, my work, and didn't pry into how I knew Marcus. But at the end of the night, one of his friends, an older woman named Diane, pulled me aside. He talks about you all the time, she said. He's so proud of you. He barely knows me. That doesn't matter. You're his daughter. That's enough. I didn't know how to respond to that. But later, when I was leaving, Marcus walked me to my car. Thank you for coming, he said. It was nice. Your friends are nice. They liked you. Good. He hesitated, then said, I meant what I said earlier. I'm proud of you, Nia. I know I don't have the right to be, but I am. I looked at him. This man who had been a stranger 6 months ago, who was slowly becoming something more. Thank you, I said. He hugged me. The first time he'd ever done that. I hugged him back. September came. The air turned cooler. The leaves started to change. I went to visit my mother on her birthday, brought her flowers. We had dinner together, just the two of us. It wasn't perfect. There were still things we didn't talk about, wounds that hadn't fully healed, but we were trying. Have you seen Marcus lately? She asked over dessert. Yeah, last week. How is he? Good. He's good. She nodded. Quiet. Do you ever think about reaching out to him? I asked, apologizing. Every day, but I don't know if he'd want to hear from me. Maybe you should try. Maybe, but I didn't push. That was between them. In October, on the anniversary of the day I got my DNA results, I sat down and wrote a letter. Not to Marcus, not to my mother, to Lauren. Dear Lauren, I don't know if you can read this wherever you are, but I need to say it anyway. I'm sorry for what happened. I'm sorry for the pain my existence caused you. I'm sorry you never got to meet me, to know me, to decide for yourself what I meant to you. Your husband, my father, told me you were kind, that you were strong, that you loved deeply, even when it hurt. I think I would have liked you. I hope wherever you are, you found peace, that you've let go of the hurt, that you know none of this was your fault. Thank you for not saying anything, for carrying that secret alone. I don't know if that was mercy or pain, but I'm grateful for it. I'm trying to know your husband, to understand the man who was part of creating me, and I think you'd be okay with that. At least I hope you would. Rest easy, Lauren. Naya. I folded the letter, put it in an envelope, and then I drove to Connecticut, to the cemetery where Lauren was buried. Marcus had given me directions. I found her grave easily. The flowers from our visit in July were gone, replaced by fresh ones. I knelt down, placed the letter on the headstone. I hope you don't mind, I said out loud. I just needed to say it. The wind rustled through the trees. A bird called somewhere overhead. I stayed for a few more minutes. Then I stood up and left. By November, a year after I'd first taken the DNA test, my life had settled into a new rhythm. I saw Marcus every other week, sometimes more. We'd have dinner, go for walks, talk about our days. I saw my mother less often, but when we did, it was easier. The anger had faded into something softer. Understanding maybe, or at least acceptance. Simone kept me grounded, reminded me that I was still me despite everything that had changed. And slowly, I started to feel like I was standing on solid ground again. Not the same ground as before, but solid nonetheless. One night in late November, Marcus called me. I have something to show you, he said. Can you come over? Now? If you can. I drove to his house. He was waiting on the porch when I arrived. "What's going on?" I asked. "Come inside." He led me to the living room. On the coffee table was a large envelope. "I've been going through Lauren's things," he said. "Stuff I kept in storage after she died. And I found this." He handed me the envelope. Inside was a letter, addressed to Marcus. In Lauren's handwriting, she wrote this a few months before she died, he said. "I didn't open it until today." "Why?" "Because I wasn't ready, but I am now, and I think you should read it." I pulled out the letter. "Dear Marcus, if you're reading this, I'm gone, and I'm sorry for that. I know how hard this must be for you, but there's something I need to tell you, something I should have said a long time ago. I knew about Regina. I saw you two that night, and I know about the baby. I didn't say anything because I didn't know how, because I was scared, because I loved you both and I didn't want to lose either of you, so I buried it. Pretended it never happened, but it did happen. And I've carried it with me ever since. I'm not writing this to make you feel guilty. You've already punished yourself enough, I'm sure. I'm writing this because I want you to know that I forgave you. A long time ago, I loved you, Marcus. I loved our life together, and I don't regret any of it. If you ever meet your daughter, and I hope you do, tell her I'm sorry. Sorry I couldn't be brave enough to face this when I was alive. Sorry she never got to know me, but tell her I'm glad she exists, that she was never a mistake. Take care of yourself, Marcus, and be happy. Lauren." I read the letter twice, then I handed it back to Marcus. He was crying, silently, tears streaming down his face. "She knew," he said, "the whole time." "Yeah, and she forgave me." "Yeah." He wiped his eyes. "I don't deserve that." "Maybe not, but she gave it to you anyway." We sat there for a long time, not saying anything. Finally, I stood up. "I should go," I said. "Okay." He walked me to the door. "Naya?" he said. "Yeah?" "Thank you for being here, for giving me a chance." "You don't have to keep thanking me." "I know, but I want to." I hugged him. "Good night, Marcus." "Good night." I drove home slowly. The city lights blurred past. My mind was full of Lauren's words. Tell her I'm glad she exists, that she was never a mistake. I thought about my mother, about the choices she'd made, the lies she'd told, the pain she'd caused. I thought about Marcus Hayes, the man who'd raised me, who'd loved me without question, who'd given me his name and his heart. I thought about Marcus Whelan, the man who'd been waiting for me, who'd taken a DNA test on the off chance I might do the same, who'd welcomed me into his life even though I was a reminder of his worst mistake. And I thought about Lauren, the woman I'd never met, who'd carried a secret for decades, who'd forgiven the unforgivable, who'd wanted me to know I wasn't a mistake. All these people, all these choices, all leading to me. I wasn't sure what it all meant, but I knew one thing. I was here, I existed, and that mattered. December came. The first anniversary of the day I'd called my mother after getting the DNA results. I invited her and Marcus to dinner. At my apartment. "Are you sure?" my mother asked when I called her. "Yeah, I'm sure." "Naya, I don't know if I can..." "Mom, it's time." She was quiet for a long time, then she said, "Okay." Marcus was easier to convince. "I'd like that," he said, "if you think it's a good idea." "I do." The night of the dinner, I cooked pasta, salad, bread, nothing fancy.